Hey guys, Levi with Colossians 3:23 Productions here. Back at it again, this time with a painting video. I'm going to show you guys, as promised in my Primaris Repulsor Showcase video, how I paint plasma coils on your standard Space Marine Hellblaster. Now, this technique that I use can be used for pretty much any plasma gun that you've got, any kind of glowing plasma coils you want to go for, such as the ones found on your standard plasma guns on your classic tactical Marines, or plasma cannons on your Devastators. I have even used this trick on the Plasma Decimator on my Knight Castellan. So you guys might see that video at a later date. He's still not fully painted, but I might show him off at some point. Now, this technique can be used pretty much on anything, plasma coil related. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that this really wouldn't work for. But of course, if you know of anything or any other tips or tricks, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'm always more than happy to learn new tricks. Now, the first thing that you do is you take your Space Marine Hellblaster, and you will notice that I've taken the plasma coils, I've undercoated them, or base coated them, with Ulthuan Gray. In this case, it's the kind of the whitest that you can get aside from White Scar or Corax White. But this goes on much smoother, and it's going to work just fine for our applications today. But the idea is that you base coat it with white, and then you take a Citadel contrast paint and add that on top. In this case, I'm going to go with Talisar Blue. So give that a nice good shake. Take some straight out of the pot. Try not to get, too overloaded. Never understood why they always put everything on the palette. I mean, I get why in some instances. In this case, if you got enough brush control, you can get the exact same effect and not have to waste space on your palette. And then you just very carefully coat it in. Get a little bit more. Trying to paint as quick as I can because I know I am doing this live. I don't exactly have a time lapse going on. Now, you do kind of want to go a little thick on this. You don't want to go too thick because you don't want to lose all the white undercoat. The point is that, unlike traditional plasma coil effects where you're building up the white from the blue, in this case, we're going to build the blue up from the white. So you don't want to go too thick, but the great thing about contrast paints is it does, sink into the recesses pretty well, leaving those edges pretty well defined. Okay, that was a bit too much. Take care of that. And look at that. Beautiful plasma coils. I hope that that's coming in focus. Let's see if I can't get it to come into focus a little better. Sorry, guys. Again, still trying to, figure out my setup here. Okay, outside of lighting, you can kind of see what's going on there. Let's see if we can. Okay, yeah, that's a bit better. All right. So yeah, that's your standard blue plasma coil. Now, alternatively, you can use the same technique for red. Now, what I do recommend at this point, again, I understand that the lighting makes things a little harder to see. But if you follow this technique, you may find that you need to go back with a second layer of Talisar Blue. That's perfectly normal. Sometimes the first coat doesn't go through. Or it doesn't give the level of coverage that you may want. But as I said, if you want to go for a red plasma coil, you can alternatively do so. And I'm going to demonstrate that for this Hellblaster squad by giving the Sergeant a red plasma coil. Typically, you only really see this on Chaos Marines, but I did want to show that off today, just to kind of show you guys that it does work. And I'm using the Blood Angels red contrast paint for this. And again, the technique is practically identical. You see that I undercoated or based my plasma coils there with the same Ulthuan Gray. And we're just going to go over it with a nice layer of Blood Angels Red. And one thing I particularly love about this technique is that by doing it, the viscous nature of the contrast paints means that you're not going to get as much of a bleed onto the main casing of your plasma guns if you do it right. And it may take a little practice, you may mess it up, but I mean, there's the effect. Again, I know that the lighting here, let me see what happens if I actually kind of turn down my light a little bit. Okay, yeah, that kind of comes into focus a little bit better. So yeah, definitely, you guys can see that the concept's identical, and you get pretty much the exact same effect that way. One other thing that I have found kind of, if you are using a white primer and building up your colors from there for your main army, then that also works great. It doesn't just work with Ulthuan Gray. The idea is just to use a white base coat to get the plasma coil effect. Now, one other neat trick that you guys can do, and I may demonstrate it at a later date, if you're looking for really cool lenses, take a really bright silver, such as Stormhost Silver, go over it with Blood Angels Red, Talisar Blue, or alternatively one of the green contrast paints. I think it's like Warpstone Glow or something like that. No, it's one of the main paints. I forget which one I'm thinking of, but that gives you really great, red, blue, or green lenses. Just that bright silver, no washes, just go over with a layer of contrast paint, and you're going to get a really nice glass effect, or gem effect if you're going for that too. Both techniques work great. So yeah, that's how I do that. Alternatively, that's a really great battle-ready start or stopping point, if you're just trying to go for quick, cheap, methods of getting the plasma coils going. You can, of course, once the contrast paint dries, go over with like a layer of white scars to pick up the highlights. I've done that on my Castellan, just kind of give it that extra oomph that a Castellan deserves. Again, you guys are probably going to see that at a later date, but he is nowhere near ready for the camera at this point. So pick out the layers at some point, if you want to take it to the next level. But that's just the quick, cheap, dirty method that I use. I've used it for practically all of my, plasma-based weapons since I discovered that trick. And I'm really happy with how it looks on the table and on the camera. So yeah, give that thing a try, give that trick a try. If you guys like it, let me know. If you don't like it, also let me know. If you guys have any other tips or tricks like that, dirty, quick, cheap methods that you use to, skip a couple steps in there, but still get the same kind of effect, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me. And as always, whatever you do, do it for God, not just for men. See you guys next time.